Hello friends, in this video we will quickly look into blockchain technology. I will give you an example. I think that example is going to make sense. Now this example which I am presenting you is from biology. So if you are not familiar with biology, that will add to your complexity, but I will make it interesting. So, if you look around you, like I will just show you something here. This is an Apple pencil, and its tip has got some thickness, right? So if you imagine a simple zero point 0.5 or 0.7 mm pen tip, which is I think fairly common, and if you think how many human cells, human cells are the smallest unit of human beings, or the cell is the smallest unit of any animal being. So if you cut your any of your muscle and you just cut it down to its lowest autonomous unit which have life property, it's called cell. So on this tip of pen, there are approximately 20,000 human cells you can place. You can think of how tiny a human cell is. This is an approximate figure. It may be 30,000, it may be 15,000, but roughly 20,000 human cells can be placed on the tip of a pen. Now, within this cell, if you look into the center of the cell, you will see something peculiar. It's called nucleus. And if you take the nucleus out, dry it, and you will, after some time, you will see that this nucleus has got some fine grains. Now these fine grains, if you just make it on a straight line, the length of this a string thing will come out to be 2 meters. So the 2 meter long length of a string is somehow wrapped inside an object which is less than half of the size of something which can be put on the tip of the pen, and not only that one but 20,000 of them. So this is how complex human cell is, and that length, the string which I talked about, is called chromatin network. Now this chromatin network, again, if you go in that chromatin network, you will see that there are again fine grains, fine strings, and these fine strings are called DNA. Now DNA are the strings which hold information, right, which hold all the information necessary to develop an animal. In the case of humans, all its qualities, like the color of his skin, the color of eye, the way he or she speaks, the psychological details, everything is encoded into that 2 meter length string. This is very fascinating. Now this DNA which I talked about has got, it's not something which is random. It's very, if you look into the details of it, you will see that someone has designed it with all the details. It has got fixed length, fixed diameter of, it's in the form of a coil. If you search DNA on Google, you will see the picture. And its components are also fixed. So it has got sugar molecule, the sugar we eat, not that exact sugar, but this is called pentose sugar. And then you have got phosphate molecule, and then you have got something which is called nitrogen base. So nitrogen base, phosphate molecule, and sugar, they act as a number system. So you have got phosphate molecule, sugar, pentose sugar, and nitrogen bases. So there are 4 nitrogen bases. So how many variables we have? Pentose sugar, then we have phosphate molecule, and then 4 nitrogen bases. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We have got 6 different digits which are used to encode all the information in human body. And as a result of that, this encoding and everything, you have got your thumbprint, which is again unique to every human being. That is also a result of that encoding. Details, I don't know because I'm not a biologist, but this is something which is proven as a fact by genetic engineering, and then those people who are doing research in the field of cytology, like the cellular structure and everything. Now this encoding is very unique. That's where I will draw your attention to the blockchain. Now if you see the DNA structure, you will see that you have a string of sugar, then phosphates are attached to it, and then sugar creates a bonding with nitrogen bases, and this combination of one phosphate molecule, one sugar, and one nitrogen base is something which is called a block. It's not called a block in biology. In biology we call it nucleotide, but I'm just making this up word block here just to make you understand something which I will explain later. So you have got a block which is called nucleotide. It's made up of sugar, phosphate molecule, and nitrogen base. Now we have got many blocks in a DNA, and somehow either one block or combination of 2 block or 3 block or 4 block will make something which is called a gene. You might have heard genetic engineering, right? Now one gene is responsible for one character or one attribute or one quality of a human being, right? I may not be 100% correct, but you can fact check this information. This is what I have studied in my school days. So one gene is responsible for one of your characters. So you have got one gene, then you can add one gene and second gene, and then you have got another character. Then one gene, second gene, and fifth gene, they make some other character. This is called genetic engineering, and scientists are actually working on to make a blueprint of human genetic structure. They call human genome or something. Now interestingly, in a DNA you have got blocks which are nucleotides, and these blocks are coupled in a way that if any of the block changes its property, the whole DNA will change. And in a very simple form, this is called mutation. So mutation is basically a sudden change in the genetic pattern of a cell, right? So if a cell has got a DNA strand, and somehow its few of the nucleotides are changed or are modified in a way that it is changed, but the DNA remains stable, right? A nucleotide is changed means some genes are changed, but the DNA becomes stable after the change. Then you have got some qualities in an animal, or if this happens to a human, which was not naturally possible, which was not naturally there in that human. You might have seen Spider-Man movies and this fictional story of a spider bite and how the genetic structure changes. Now taking all this information back to blockchain, in blockchain also you have got a block of I will say information, a block of some information, and how this information looks like I'm not going to explain here, but I'm just giving you a reference. The way you have got blocks which is called nucleotides in your DNA, here you have got a series of blocks written as a software program, and one block represents one entity or one asset, and this asset is represented by its its uh, its public cryptographic key, right? So in the digital world, every object which communicates digitally is gonna have a public private key pair, which is used to have asymmetric cryptography, right? Now this public private key is not only used for doing encryption and decryption of data, but there are other uses of public and private key. One of the use is to sign a message to establish the principle of non-repudiance, right? So that no one can deny that I haven't sent that message, right? So again, this is going to be a bit technical, and this part is for the technical people, but for you to understand in a very general way that everything, whether it's your camera which I'm recording this video, or you have your mobile phone, you have your computer, if all these things are communicating over internet, having some public IP addresses, then they must have a public private key pair if they want to have a secure communication. Now this public cryptographic key is used to identify an asset in a blockchain, right? And whatever asset it has got on the block as a record. Now this is gonna be encrypted using some key. You know, if it is encrypted using its public key, then the asset owner can only read that message. But here in blockchain, those messages are encrypted using the private key of the asset owner, so that anyone can see that this asset belongs to that asset owner. So this is one thing, that they have their public key. They use to identify. They use it as an identification factor to identify an asset on blockchain. So you have got a block. In that block, you have got an asset, whether it's a car, your document, your cryptocurrency, your token. Those things are there, and that block has got this component public key. Then they have got their private key, which is visible only to the asset owner, and then they have got something which is called a hashing of the asset, and with the public key or with the private key. It depends on the implementation of blockchain, how it is implemented. Now this hashed key is gonna be used on the second block to establish a relationship of trust, to establish a relationship of integrity, right? So if any one of the hash changes on first block, then the second block will become invalid, right? This is the way in blockchain all the blocks are related, and we have a sense of security in there. So you have got a record of blocks. This is one component of blockchain. Then you have got immutable records. Immutable records are the records which cannot be changed, and if it is changed, then you have to add the record and delete the record as two separate line items. And then you have got something which is called smart contracts. Now smart contracts are the rules, and these rules are designed on the use case of blockchain application. So if it is used in a financial institution, these rules will be different. If it is used for some cryptocurrency, it will be different. So these are the smart contracts, and these smart contracts resembles what we know about the genes in a DNA. So again, if we recall genes, the genes are the combination of sugar, phosphate, and nitrogen bases, basically nucleotides. Similarly here, smart contracts are basically rules built on top of the blocks, which are self-executing. Like if a user provides some inputs, and if it matches with the logic of a smart contract, then it executes, and after the execution a block is created. So this is how we can make a correlation between what we know about biology and what we know about blockchain. Let me know about your thoughts if this analogy makes sense and if it is useful. Thanks for watching. Let's see you in another video.